world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad and our ongoing investigation into films based on video games. I'm John Campbell, back with me, and I think we're doing this from a hospital room because this one almost wrecked him. Mike Gorgone is with me.
John, tell my wife I died doing what I loved, which was covering IP-based movies, and in the line of duty, this one got me.
Look, baby, you knew what you signed up for when you married a member of the IP Squad. It's a way of life.
I was doing what was right, but maybe not what I should have been doing.
You don't know the things I've seen.
Well, that is the case, because we are definitely watching a movie that has the reputation of being... is it amongst the worst video game movies? I actually don't think it is.
No.
It's just a bad movie.
It's bad. We're talking about Borderlands. We're talking about 2024's Borderlands.
Yeah, I mean, a movie that came out fairly recently and is already being forgotten.
Oh, for sure.
This thing came and went.
You can barely find this online. You have to either rent it or buy it, and it's so memory hold by people that even the filmmakers involved are like, the what now? I'm sorry.
We'll talk about what level of involvement they had in it too. But the thing, this will definitely be one of those movies whose future is like, oh right, they made a Borderlands movie, right? Like that. I feel like that's what this is going to be, or it's like, I never saw it. I seem to remember there being a Borderlands movie though.
I think this film fits really solidly in the category of video game.
Right. Because it's not...
I think this slots in nicely with Assassin's Creed and with the Hitman movies.
Yeah, these are movies that... These aren't like god-awful train wrecks, but they're... because they're definitely not good, but they're also not so bad that they stick in your memory either.
They usually have one or two actors in it that are like... doing here?
Oh, this one has several of them. This has almost an entire cast of those, and a director. I mean, like really, the
and a writer. Oh my god! When I saw Joe Abercrombie's name on this movie, one of my favorite grim fantasy authors is doing this.
And also, I don't know if you saw, he doesn't get credit, and actually, it was fine with that. Last of Us showrunner Craig Mazin did a draft of this too.
Yeah, and Tim Miller basically shadow directed it.
Not even. Came in and redirected it basically. Because here's the thing. So Borderlands. We'll start with this because I think this is. Let's talk about the game first because there's a reason I wanted you on this one specifically. Because I know you are a fan of this game franchise. This is a franchise that I'm not a huge fan of. Mostly because it's just not my kind of gameplay. I love the aesthetics of it.
Borderlands game. I've played every Borderlands game, including the Tales of the Borderlands games. Which are the Telltale story-driven ones.
Yeah, those I actually might like.
I will say, as of this recording, the fourth Borderlands game has come out.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty decent reviews. I have not played that one yet, but simply because usually for console releases, I give it a couple of weeks just so they can get some bug updates out that might affect games at launch.
You're not the only one who does that by any means. So you are a big fan of this franchise. So I definitely, as somebody who is more familiar with just the aesthetics of it, once again, haven't played much. Gorgone, what makes you such a fan of these games?
So, the Borderlands franchise is kind of well known for its irreverent gonzo action. I don't want to call it a parody, but it's definitely like
Tongue in cheek,
taking
maybe.
tongue in cheek is definitely the vibe we're going for, and that has continued as the franchise has to mixed success, let us say. I think there was maybe some from what I've read of Borderlands 4, again, haven't played the fourth entry in the game franchise just yet, but it is sort of a real backward from the third game that maybe got a little too mimetic, as it were. The memes were very strong in Borderlands 2, but they definitely maybe started to Ouroboros up their own behind in the third game. And Tiny Tina is sort of at the center of that.
Ah, that makes sense. I mean, I do think, once again, being more of an outsider of the franchise, I could see that happening because it seems similar to, we're both fans of the Deadpool comics, but there are runs that are more annoying to me because they
Deadpool
lean into that.
Is an excellent comparison there.
Yeah, and that might be why at a certain point, somebody called the director of Deadpool to come in and quote unquote fix this movie.
Yeah, so the games, this movie is fascinating because it kind of blends the storyline of the first two games and then completely ignores the central thrust of the plot for large chunks of the film, and then just makes some shit up, as these movies are wont to do.
Which is, I mean, which you can do that and still make a good movie. One of the my biggest reaction to this movie has nothing to do with the video game per se. It's just and this, neither one of us had seen this movie prior to this, so I watched this yesterday for the first time.
I watched this. Let's see, 5 hours ago for the first time.
So I will say my big reaction to this was I found it pretty dull in that it felt like it was made up of pieces of other better science fiction movies.
It is that, and this is inherently a problem with things like Borderlands, is that Borderlands is this like referential milieu of a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. Obviously, you've got a lot of Mad Max in there. You've got some like Hunter S. Thompson for flavor. You've got a lot of like Rambo and action movie stuff just sort of thrown in. And it is this like reference pile and kind of like, in the same way that the Uncharted games are such a loving homage to Indiana Jones and old adventure serials, the Borderlands games are these like larger than life homages to action video games specifically. So translating that into a movie is inherently going to have some challenges when you don't really, when you don't use any of that referential material, and B, don't change the angle of the references to be something more poignant to the medium you're now in.
Well, I think it's somewhat similar to the Uncharted movie in that way, except I think the Uncharted movie is better than this movie, but it is sort of a thing where it's like it's the snake eating its tail sort of thing of like, you're making a thing that is reverential to a thing that you're now adapting into another thing. And so there's a lot of layers of translation there that you're going through, and so what you end up getting is this movie that, like I said, my reaction to this isn't like, "Oh God, it's horrible." It's more just like, I liked that better when it was in Star Wars. I liked that better when it was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Because the Guardians of the Galaxy influence on this thing cannot be overstated.
Yeah, I mean, they're very clearly trying to layer the band of space misfits onto this film in a way that the games just aren't. Because while you can play co-op in the games are really like a single play, like the story is being told via a single player like narrative where a lot of different narrative stuff at you. Your character is pretty much a blank slate in the games. Obviously there are classes in the games that give each character flavor, and 2 of the first game's playable characters are the Cate Blanchett and Kevin Hart characters in this film.
Okay, yeah. So these are actual characters from the game?
Well, what's interesting about the Borderlands games, at least I've always found interesting on a narrative level, is so you have your playable characters in the first game. And then those characters, Roland and Lilith being two of them, become more plot-heavy NPCs in the second game.
Okay.
And so then in the third game, the NPCs from the second and first game are then also plot-driving NPCs. And as the franchise has gone forward, each new game, your playable characters don't have a ton of agency in the story, but the characters from previous games start driving the plot a little bit more in depth.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is interesting. I mean, so let's be honest. Is Borderlands perhaps just maybe not a great thing to adapt into a movie?
Oh, it's a terrible thing to adapt into a movie.
Because I do think there was sort of a reaction of even when they announced that they were even considering doing this, there was, and I'm sure you and I even talked about it probably, that there was ooh, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem, and this is a problem that so many other movies have run into, is first-person shooters bad to adapt. Because what's fun about the first-person shooter is being in first person and shooting things.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the thing, right? Is that first-person games in particular are really designed to put you in the shoes of something. So oftentimes, there are examples where it's not the case, but I would say most of the time in the ones I've played, the character is a vague enough cipher for you, right? Like they're we've talked about Master Chief is purposely designed to be, I mean, even if he has more backstory than some, on a personality level, is fairly limited.
It's tabula rasa. That's like a video game staple. Is like the character can have quirks and eccentricities, and so the character in this movie, Krieg, is a playable character in Borderlands 2.
Krieg is definitely like one of those characters that I've seen on all the posters and stuff for the games, right?
Well, the Psycho mask is used across all of the... It's an enemy type in the game called Psychos. Krieg himself is the playable character version of that. But that mask is synonymous with the enemy type of Psycho, and they are all kind of covers of the games. Yeah,
the mascot of the games, right? I sort of see that mask on every, marketing for it.
Well, because there's this whole idea in the games of just like, living out on the Borderlands, which are these like out of the way planets that are hyper dangerous, has a way of driving you mad. It's very Mad Max in that way.
Mad Max is for sure also rolled up here in the influences that I'm talking about.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, this whole idea of a backwater desert world where everyone's searching for some unknown treasure, and it's driving some people crazy and bringing in like wealthy, influential powers. Like, there's all these sci-fi milieu that is being wound up in Borderlands, and in the film, it just starts feeling very derivative really quickly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, then I was watching it, and maybe a half hour, and like once Blanchett gets to the main planet and once everybody comes together, I started to kind of check out. Like I just started to be like, okay. And like, once again, I wasn't bored. I wasn't angry, but I was just sort of going like, yeah, the action's okay, but I've seen it before. I think everybody's here. Everybody's here to play. Blanchett is shockingly in. I can't believe how much she's invested in this thing.
Yeah, and I could say the same thing for Jamie Lee Curtis, which is wild.
I actually think, once again, I think the whole cast is invested. It's not a matter of like, people are like, whatever, man. It's just, they're sort of like, they're all game, but where are we going? Like, what movie are we making here?
The movie we're making is a MacGuffin, right? And that is baked into the central premise of Borderlands, which is there's this idea of the vault. That is the premise of the first game, is you are a vault hunter, and that phrase is tossed around a lot in this film as well. Is all of the playable characters so far in Borderlands have been vault hunters. They're characters who are looking for fame and fortune by finding the mythical vault, usually on the planet Pandora. By the time we get into it turns out, there's vaults on other planets as well. So we start traveling around the galaxy looking for other vaults to unlock. Inside those vaults is rumored to be mythical treasures of a long lost space civilization. Basically what the movie says.
Yeah,
the big twist of the first game is that that's not true.
Okay.
And that's why when that's not the end of this movie, it left me a little bit like, oh, so they're not even going to do the interesting sci-fi twist in the first game, which is, no, the vault is a prison for an extra-dimensional, like, Cthulhu monster, and now you have to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the final boss, right?
Right.
And then we have, Janina Gavinkar's character Nox is sort of a retooling of one of the main bad guys from the game.
Boy, she has nothing to do here. She's a good actress.
Oh, she's given nothing to
she's
do
just
here, for sure.
Bad guy. And actually, even Edgar Ramirez as Atlas, I mean, he got out of this thing. We worked a couple days probably, and he's a very good actor.
Yeah,
but just he just sort of shows up to be like, haha, I'm evil.
Yeah, and his character is kind of what Nox is in the first game.
Oh, interesting.
Of just like military dictator who is sort of trying to wield control of the vault by any means necessary.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the production of this, because I think it'll be telling when we get into.
Yeah, I think there is important to like unpack the oral history.
Yeah, I mean, so the movie, 2011 was when they first started the idea of having a film adaptation. I don't know that this would have been, I mean, it's a name that rears its ugly head too often in the stuff we cover. Avi Arad was very interested in producing a Borderlands movie. As bad as this turned out, somehow I think that would have been worse, because that guy stinks.
I mean, Borderlands, the game, comes out in 2009. It's basically an immediate hit.
Mm-hmm.
And Borderlands 2 comes out in 2012. So like there was a big push of Borderlands 2 when it was coming out. I think Borderlands 2 is widely considered still kind of the peak of the franchise. Again, haven't spent much time with 4 yet, so I don't know if that can live up to the hype.
Okay.
But I can understand why that time period is sort of where the movie starts gestating.
At a certain point, Lee Wanell was going to direct, who's gone on to do The Invisible Man and Wolfman for Blumhouse. So interesting that it's all horror guys up to a certain point, because he ends up leaving the project, and then Eli Roth comes on board.
Eli Roth makes a lot of sense for this.
To
me.
And from what I gather, had a lot of passion for the material.
Because one thing about Borderlands, and something that I think really handicaps this movie right off the bat, is Borderlands is excessively violent to the point where you really have to take it as like the gonzo, hyper-violent cartoon that it is.
Yep.
And a movie that leans into that is something more along the lines of Cop or Starship Troopers.
And from what I can gather, that is the movie that Roth wrote and shot.
Like, to the point where you have to understand that the over-the-top violence leans you into satire more.
Right.
And so by removing that, you remove a certain satirical edge from Borderlands that is baked into its very nature. And by sanitizing that, you sanitize the whole project.
Especially when you sanitize it even after the fact. They talk about every draft was written with an R rating in mind. Roth came on board with an R rating in mind, shot an R-rated movie, and then a studio went, whoa, that could cost us money. Let's get this thing down to PG-13.
Yeah, and here's the thing. All the Borderlands games have been rated M for mature. But there is such a big divide between what the MPAA decides is allowable for general audiences,
right,
and what those general audiences are already experiencing at home. Because let's be honest, there's the whole like video game rating system, the ESRB, that like exists, but like parents aren't paying attention to that when they're buying their kids a shooter that has like a funny talking robot in it.
Right. That's the thing is, it's some of the stuff. I remember there being complaints about this with Deadpool, right? Was like people were like, "Oh no, my kids are gonna want to see it because the aesthetics of it look kid friendly. And I think that was the thought here about Borderlands as well. And I think once again, they saw in this the potential to be a Guardians of the Galaxy, which is PG-13, but of course comes from totally different kinds of source material too.
Yeah, and look, I will be lying if I would say that, like, as the Borderlands series has gone on, especially 3, I think, has a lot of Guardians baked into it at this point. That, like, kind of roguish scumbag, but with a heart of gold. That is where Borderlands has been trying to land.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between, I mean, and just looking at guns, there's a difference between Guardians and Suicide Squad. Right, and I think Borderlands, if it, from the sound of it, should lean more towards Suicide Squad, where you can still do all that stuff, but the content is much crazier and bloodier, and so, you know, I mean, there's a quote here from the, let's see, where was this that I had in the production stuff where they were talking about, Jimmy O'D, the stunt coordinator for the film, said that the movie they shot had heads being blown off, feet being cut off, lots of crazy insanity. Eli Roth cast Borderlands cosplayers just to have them show up and get blown apart. But as a way to, like, it's like, come, if you're a fan and you've got good cosplay, come to the movie and we'll have you get blown apart.
That rules.
Yeah.
Like, that's some, like, have everyone show up dressed as psychos so they can explode them.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like a hoot and a half.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say, the movie we saw then, okay, here's the craziest thing. This will tell you. They shot this movie in 2021. It comes out in 2024. Yeah. He had a locked picture by 2022. He had finished editing, and then
middle of the pandemic. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah. Then they got cold feet. Lionsgate was like, "You got to change this," and he's like, "I'm already gone, man. I'm on to my next movie." He was already directing that. He starts and finishes another film before this comes out, which is Thanksgiving, that came out the year before. So in the interim of making this movie, he makes a whole other movie. But he was just, because they're like, we need to do extensive reshoots. He's like, I'm done. I gave you my movie. I'm off to make my next movie. And so they said, all right, well then let's hire the Deadpool guy to come in and make this thing more palatable, which is interesting. Right?
That's when Tim Miller gets involved.
Tim Miller gets involved and did, from what I gather, extensive reshoots.
With the primary cast?
Yes.
Interesting. This movie feels so compromised. And we've said that about a lot of movies that we've talked about this season. But this one especially. I mean, the first 30 minutes feel like an absolute hack job.
Oh, my God. It is so much like cutting around, info dumping, voiceover. There's so much patchwork, and also like, okay, you guys got to know. Wait. You guys got to know this. And this. You know,
there's a bit at the very beginning where Cate Blanchett's character, who is named Lilith, it's hard for me to associate the video game character Lilith with the character that Cate Blanchett plays in this movie, because they're, besides aesthetically, basically different characters.
Well, because she's Han Solo, right? I mean, she's Han Solo or Star-Lord or, you know, I mean, take your pick of space rogue outlaw.
Yeah. And, like, all of the characters from Borderlands that are playable are that.
Yeah. I will say, I want to see her play this kind of character in a better movie, because I will say, most of what I enjoyed is purely because of the cast, and clearly, and I believe her in every interview, how much fucking fun Cate Blanchett was having. She talked about she loved learning all the gunslinging and stuff and doing all the stunts. Because obviously, that's not generally what she does in her career. And so, you know,
Lady Galadriel is not this character.
No, or even like Hela in Ragnarok is. I mean, when she cuts loose in a genre thing, you can, because I've seen her talk, by the way, about like being a big horror fan and loving Sam Raimi movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, you can tell when it is like. But also, I will say, a lot of the cast took this because it was one of the few things shooting during the pandemic. So she also was like, I also needed somewhere to go. Some of these people are like, okay.
The bit that stands out to me is there's a tossed off line when she's trying to track down Tiny Tina, where she says, "Oh, I talked to some kids in a scrapyard." And the kids that are freed from the cage at the back of the the Psycho truck later in the film are the same kids from that scene at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
So clearly those two scenes are supposed to be linked, but they're not in the film. They've been cut to be in two separate parts of the timeline.
Yes. It's there. Well, there's 3 whole characters that were cut out entirely from Roth's cut.
Oh, wild! Does it say who?
Penn Jillette was a character in the movie. Cheyenne Jackson, who people may know from 30 Rock, played a character named Wainwright Jacobs.
Oh, Jacobs is one of the gun manufacturers in the games,
there was also Alistair Hammerlock was a character in it who was cut.
Oh, interesting. Hammerlock is a character from the second game that is then expanded to the third game. Who's like a rapscallion monster hunter.
I don't know what their level of involvement was. I mean, it sounds like Penn Jillette was more of a cameo, but the other 2 were apparently supporting characters who were cut, and multiple scenes were cut. We should also mention that along with Tim Miller coming on to do reshoots, they talked about they brought in a new screenwriter and additional 6 other writers were involved. So they just were throwing
with that kind of reshoots, like you're basically those are the people who were on set that day who could rewrite scenes on the go, right?
Yeah. Also, I don't think that the Joe Crombie, not the IMDb is wrong about Joe Abercrombie.
Oh, it is?
According to Joe Crombie is the credited name. And there's some speculation that that's Craig Mazin refusing to have his name put on it, and he made up that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because, so IMDb is just straight up wrong there.
Yeah. Because according to Wikipedia and the research I have here, the screenplay is credited to Eli Roth and Joe Crombie.
Right. But Wikipedia or the link on IMDb seems to be indicating that he's using that as a pen name for this film. Is that just not true then?
Well, this is saying it's Craig Mazin claims it's not him, and Joe Abercrombie claims it's also not him. No one knows who Joe Crombie is.
It's nobody then.
Yeah, apparently it's nobody. But most people say it probably is Mazin.
Interesting. The only reason it has me thinking, because he is a credited writer on an episode of Love, Death, and Robots, which Tim Miller created.
Also, yeah. I have no idea. But both Joe Abercrombie and Craig Mazin claim it's not them, and nobody can really find who it is.
I love that artifacting that happens in Hollywood movies sometimes. No one wants to claim credit for a stinker.
There is no Joe Crombie registered to the WGA either, so nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows who it is. I mean, once again, from the sound of the Wikipedia, it's like 6 guys if you really want to,
Sure. Crombie is an anagram for a bunch of guys.
And this movie feels that way. And stuff where you have Haley Bennett playing Lilith's mom, but you're like, why is that an actress I know to just show up in a hologram? They may have been more with that at some point. I mean, all the Lilith stuff, the whole Chosen One storyline is both obvious and comes out of nowhere at the same time.
It annoyed the hell out of me because how deep do you want me to go, John?
I mean, deep enough. This is the show,
Okay.
It feels very Star-Lordy to me, right?
It's a little Star-Lordy. In the games, there is almost always one of the playable classes in the games will be the Siren.
Mm-hmm.
And Sirens are plot important character archetypes that exist in the Borderlands universe, where in the galaxy there are only so many sirens at a certain point, and they are imbued with ancient, weird, telepathic, kinetic powers of space magic, basically. Mm-hmm. And Lilith is the first playable siren in the franchise. And so, as the series has gone on, what it is to be a siren and the siren's place in the galaxy and how they're connected to the ancient Iridians and all that has been expanded.
Gotcha.
But from the get-go in the game, Lilith is a siren. She knows this going in. She is aware of like the powers they give her, and that's not something that is unfolded as the games go. It is no, she started as a siren, and like exactly how important sirens are becomes expanded upon, but their existence isn't something that manifests over the course of the story. So when Jamie Lee Curtis is like a siren, it means nothing in this movie because we've never talked about it to that point.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's the thing where I was like, whoa. Because obviously the whole movie, we haven't talked about all the characters yet, obviously, because the whole movie is setting us up to believe that Tiny Tina, is it Tiny Tina?
Tiny Tina is the name of the character who is radically changed in this movie. But yeah, Ariana Greenblatt's character is Tiny Tina in this movie, though she bears only like vaguely aesthetic similarities to the character.
But another actress I like who is going for it, no question about it. I mean, everybody's here to play. Sure. But the whole movie is setting up her as obviously the MacGuffin, the chosen one, the one who's going to be, I know Dry Land is not a myth. I've seen it. She's the kid from Waterworld. Take your pick of how many movies have we seen about this child must be protected. But
sure,
of course,
no. And
as the movie goes along, you start
tries to like change expectations a little bit, where it's like, no, it's our hardened badass who is the chosen one.
Yeah, and once they start even remotely hinting at her past, you're like, it's gonna be Cate Blanchett, right? It just was. And once again, that
if they say Firehawk, and you're like, oh, you mean the person with fiery red hair is going to be the...
Yeah. She does look cool. She looks cool as hell. I mean, I think aesthetically, the movie looks pretty good.
And aesthetically, she is a perfect match for the character Lilith from the game Borderlands.
There you go. Yeah,
that is about all the similarities that are shared.
Yeah, I mean, it is really like once again, I think it's a real interesting case of they nailed the aesthetics, but then the studio felt the aesthetics should be a part of a different kind of movie, right? They're like, whoa, this kind of looks a little like Guardians of the Galaxy. We should push it more towards that. And the needle drops, which are all very haphazard in this thing, they don't have nearly the impact of a Guardians. I like all the songs.
Because they're taking a lot of artists that are featured heavily. Something the Borderlands games have done is, they popularized the band The Heavy.
Yes, who I love.
Yeah, their single was a huge part of the Borderlands 2 marketing campaign. What is it? Shortchange Hero is the song that to great effect, and they've been featured in other Borderlands games since. The Borderlands games have always featured this sort of like Western pop aesthetic that has worked very well for them.
Absolutely.
But then they just sort of like use whatever songs they have on hand.
It feels real after. It feels real after the fact in this, right? It feels like throw in a cool song, as opposed to when you see like what Gunn does in Guardians, where it feels like, oh, this is really designed. This scene was built around this song. Whereas here, it's like throw a song in. It almost feels like you're almost like, hey, is that a song playing? Oh yeah. There's kind of like a rock song playing right now.
Can we get the rights to Ace of Spades? Cool, great.
Yeah, and you're just going like, it kind of, because by the way, you could make Ace of Spades fit any action sequence if you want to. It's such a rockin' tune, but like, none of it comes organically out of the movie, and it could, because as you're saying, it does. The games do that, but it speaks to, once again, this like, it's not even laziness; it's overthought. They've overthought this thing. There's so many cooks in the kitchen. They've completely
overthought is the case. It's.
Or let me
always that thing when compromised movies happen. It's when the people who come in to fix a thing, quote unquote, are bound by what already exists, and so inside trying to save as much of what was already done and the effort and resources put into that, they have to work around this weird jigsaw puzzle.
I know the
stuff we already have.
Mason apparently did. There's a quote from him about he saw one of the test screen and just went, I wash my hands of this thing. I don't want my name on this anywhere. I have no idea what this is. It's so far away from what I wanted to do. And Roth, I don't think did any press for it. He didn't take his name off it, but he wasn't out there promoting it. It was pretty clear.
I saw one quote from him on the trivia section of IMDb that was like, I always wanted it to be be PG-13. But then there is a separate quote saying that like I always wanted it to be. So
and
I don't know.
There's enough people who worked on and saw his cut of it that said it was super R-rated.
Yeah, it seems like he didn't want to necessarily burn any bridges by saying take my name off. But
right, yeah. But one of the things that was pointed out is some of the cast did talk about that the reshoots were much more extensive than they were initially told they were going to be. It's like, hey, wow, we're changing a lot, actually, aren't we? So, and then the movie ends up costing, I have this here, $120 million.
Oh no, I already know. I read how much it made, and oh no.
Worldwide gross 33. I mean, a disaster for them. I mean, I will say that was
domestically, it's only like 8 or something.
I mean, I will say this thing came and went like nobody's business. This was out of theaters in like 2 weeks.
Do you know what lasted longer in theaters?
What's that?
The Regal Claptrap cups were there forever.
We haven't talked about Claptrap.
I wonder why, John.
The voiced by Jack Black, because apparently you're not allowed to make a video game movie without him anymore.
This annoys me so much.
Although I do,
Jack Black. Voiced Claptrap.
I love Jack Black. I'm a big fan. I have no association with Claptrap. Is this inconsistent with the game, or what exactly is your issue with Claptrap? Because I found him to be I was annoyed by Claptrap only because he felt so designed to be everyone's favorite character.
Claptrap is supposed to be annoying.
Okay.
Claptrap is supposed to be again, it is a parody of something from video games, which is the helper NPC who is more annoying than helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is easy to do in video games because there is this assumed mentality of the, hey, listen, character who is with you the whole time in the early parts of the game, telling you what to do, and it feels overbearing and repetitive if you've played the game multiple times.
Right.
And Borderlands builds on that with the character of Claptrap in that he becomes this like kind of weight around your neck of just like, oh god, it's Claptrap again every time he shows up.
Which, I mean,
and that's supposed to be the joke of the character.
That is how he is used in this movie.
Why does it have to be Jack Black with a fully animated character like this?
Yeah.
His voice is just different enough from the Claptrap of the games that it annoyed the crap out of me. I don't know.
The answer is because they can put the name on the poster, right? I mean, that's it's. But as opposed to a Bradley Cooper as the voice of Rocket, which feels like a real from the ground up performance. You know, this just feels
Rocket
like kind of
also a character with a performance, and there's like a facial emoting there that doesn't exist in Claptrap. Claptrap is a character that is wholly CG. I really doubt there was any sort of actor presence to indicate Claptrap based on just how I see actors interacting with the CG character in this movie.
Well, and there also doesn't need to be because once again, he's not he's a physical thing, but he's not a living, breathing person where you would need reference for him, like with Rocket, where his facial expressions, his hand gestures, he is just a little thing that wheels around.
Yeah. And I don't know. Claptrap is always one of those divisive things in the Borderlands franchise where certain people who really like Claptrap, there are certain people who are just like overly annoyed by Claptrap, and the amount he is in any given game might dictate how much you like that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found him fine, but he just felt to me like, oh man, they're like, think about the toys, think about the aforementioned cups. Everybody's going to be quoting Claptrap. He poops bullets at one point.
And Tiny Tina is honestly the same way in the games. Tiny Tina is a meme of a character who is, haha, little girl throws bombs and makes things explode and speaks irreverently.
Now, why?
She is voiced in the games by Ashley Birch, who is like has a very kind of energetic persona that she injects into Tiny Tina, as opposed to her like human performance she brings to Aloy in the Horizon Zero Dawn games.
And I mean, so tell me why Greenblatt's take on the character is different, because everything you're describing is basically what I saw in the movie.
Well, she's less manic because she's meant to be the main character, or a main character in this movie.
They've had to soften her a little bit.
Really not in the games.
Yeah. Well, they had
to soften her. They had to make her a little bit more human. In the games, she is a character who is she is the halfway step between a person who is a functional member of society and the psychos we see existing out in the Borderlands, who are just I guess going around being murderers because they've gone crazy.
So is her relationship with Krieg a creation of this movie?
Kind of. It's actually kind of an expansion of some stuff that's implied in the games. Okay. In the games, it's heavily implied that Krieg is Tiny Tina's dad, who was driven mad after Tiny Tina ripped from his arms, actual bio dad.
I see. Whereas in this, he's kind of like a big brother protector figure for her.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I have very few notes on Krieg because he is as advertised.
Look, Krieg in this movie, no notes.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a big, scary dude in a mask who beats people up. It's okay.
In the game, you get way more interiority with him if you're playing as him. There's this whole thing in the game where it's oh no, the sane voice of his still exists in the back of Krieg's own head, saying, "Why are we just saying fuck nuggets as we're killing this guy? This seems insane."
I see. Yeah,
we can't communicate like a human anymore because this planet's driven us crazy. And obviously, you can't do that in There is that one scene where he's trying to communicate, but has to speak in this weird psycho patter that I enjoyed because that's part of his character.
Perhaps they would have explored that more in the shared universe that Lionsgate saw this potential for.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't just see this as a franchise. They were we could make, multiple Borderlands movies and shows, and this could be our Marvel.
Maybe. There's a lot to play with in the Borderlands franchise. There's this idea of this ancient alien civilization. There's the whole tech oligarchy side of things.
Right, but it'd be nice if they had a clear vision of what just this movie was.
Well, yeah, when you have to change the movie so drastically halfway through production, you can't really... Not everyone can be a Rogue One, okay?
Right, yeah, it's... No, most of the time when you start interfering with stuff, it leads to trouble. Sometimes it doesn't. Who's actually very fun and happy to be...
think about that. It's weird that Star Wars has gotten away with that twice.
Yes. Smarter people knowing how to do it, I guess, would be the only thing I can think of. It also felt like they had very clear ideas of why they were doing it. You know what I mean? They had. It was it is doing this. We don't like that. We want it to do this. Whereas this is we don't quite know what this is. We just don't like it the way it is.
Could you make it more Guardians of the Galaxy-y?
Yeah, that's very... I mean, it feels closer to the first Suicide Squad movie, which got heavily... which still ended up being a big success. And I like a lot of stuff in it, but David Ayer talks about that thing got tinkered with big time, and you can feel it. I mean, not nearly as much as you can feel it in the theatrical cut of Justice League, which is bipolar in nature. It's a schizophrenic movie. I want to talk about Kevin Hart in this movie only because why is Kevin Hart in this movie? And I don't mean that he's bad, but you're just they use none of what is appealing about Kevin Hart in this movie.
Yeah, no, this could have just been as easily any charismatic black man.
He may be the the biggest example of a guy who needed somewhere to be during the pandemic, because I don't know what would have appealed to him about this part. I don't know. Once again, I don't know what there's none of, and I like Kevin Hart, but nothing I like about Kevin Hart is involved here. Not that he's bad. It's just why hire this guy and then just make him sort of bland soldier guy?
There is an interesting string of films in Kevin Hart's career where he clearly does want to be some form of action star.
For sure.
But, and this sort of fits in with that a little bit between I don't know. There's all the stuff he's done with The Rock and the Jumanji movies. He's doing action stuff.
But those are using his comedic persona in and amongst action stuff more.
yeah, even in something like Central Intelligence, where he's in that another two-hander with The Rock, he is playing this like, oh God, persona that Kevin Hart really like nails.
And I really
of
enjoy
like,
it. I think in Central Intelligence is super fun. Like
he's a funny guy, but this movie doesn't use any of that.
No, and it really like it almost feels like they just kept telling us like bring it down even more, and you're just like, why hire this guy who is this live wire of energy, and then just cast him in a. I mean, I think the part is underwritten no matter who would have played it, because it is just so. He is just guy with gun. Like, it really is a boring part.
Say what you will, but like that is the character from the game. Roland, the character as presented in the game, is generic hero guy until he dies.
Yeah, but that also is something a movie should seek to build on, because games can do that and movies have trouble just having guys who are just there to be guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I will say, of the original Borderlands 1 cast who like are returning characters in Borderlands 2, Roland is the one who is killed off and doesn't continue throughout the rest of the franchise.
Well, because even in this movie, you're just like, other than whatever goodwill you bring to Kevin Hart, you are just going like, I can't tell you much about him even by movie's end. He seems like a pretty good dude.
His storyline is, I saw an evil corporation doing an evil thing and I wanted to.
Yeah. But you're like, man, I don't know, maybe if you put a little bit more into that, or gave a little bit more personal reason for him to turn against this corporation or anything. I mean, even Jamie Lee Curtis is, I think, super fun in this movie, but not a particularly well-defined character. She just has a lot of stuff. She has mannerisms and a look. And, I mean, she's fucking great because she's great in everything, but it is just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, she's playing a character named Tannis, who is also in the games. Weirdly, what this movie did is age up a lot of the characters, like across the spectrum. Obviously, Tiny Tina is aged up to not be like a preteen. She's firmly a teenager.
Yeah.
But Tannis and Lilith are also aged up significantly, which I found interesting. And is that maybe just like to fit the actors they got involved?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this was a movie where they didn't have, like, we talked about this in the Mortal Kombat movie, the 2021 version, that they really did a good job of just like, this IP is enough to sell the movie, so we don't have to cast names. This feels like they were like, it's Borderlands. People might not know what that is. We better get some stars in here, because everybody here, for the most part, is, including Claptrap, as you're talking about. They felt that they even needed to goose it more by being like, and Jack Black as the voice of Claptrap.
Yeah, yeah. And
look
everybody
at him
else involved is like,
look at him dance.
Cast for looks.
I will say
the person they got to play Moxie, Gina Gershon, is here just to be, look at her boobs.
I will say, though,
is the character of Moxie from the games.
But I will say I enjoyed her performance because she's one of the few people who's like doing a thing.
Yeah.
And also she's an Eli Roth person, so I think that's why she's here. Because he carried her over to Thanksgiving that he made after this, but that came out before this.
The fact that they cast people as Ellie and Scooter, who are Mad Moxie's kids in the games, but are also like central NPCs, just to have them show up for one scene at the end seems like, whatever.
And I actually, I particularly the guy who played Scooter, Stephen Boyer, I think is great.
And he's just there to stand there and look like Scooter.
Yeah, for the sequel or the Moxie spin-off series or something. Moxie's Place coming this fall, you know.
Like, there's a whole scene at the beginning of the movie where she's like, well, I needed to catch a ride. And that's Scooter's whole thing in the games, is he's the guy who runs the catch a ride, which is how you get your car.
Well, how about when Bobby Lee showed up to do nothing?
Oh, yeah, just to be a guy who gets tased.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, hey, look, it's Bobby Lee. Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, for I will say, it's really interesting for a studio that thinks they're building a shared universe. There is no interest in building a depth of world here at all.
I mean, there's lip service to certain things that are like part of the deeper lore, like this like corporate conglomerate rivalry that's happening between Atlas and Hyperion and Dahl, and like there's I know that stuff because I've played the game.
Right, but it doesn't. That's an excellent point. There's lip service to people who know those names from the games, but there's no. Those aren't hints at anything that sound interesting just to a movie audience, right? There's no like, oh, what is that now? No, I'm not intrigued by any of it. They're just names, and that just fade into Gleep Glop then, because you're just like, all right, that's another thing. It was a thing when you talk about the beginning of the movie, I definitely had this like, whoa, this movie is moving way too fast, and this movie starts with that escape sequence, and I'm just like, I don't know who anyone is or what's going on, but not in like a, oh, now I'm pulled in, but more in just like a, is this a sequel to something I missed?
Yeah, and this whole escape sequence, again, the whole like Roland, Tiny Tina thing is totally made up for this movie. Them freeing Krieg, totally made up for this movie. Krieg suddenly like violently becoming a protector of Tiny Tina is just totally invented in this film.
And also all of that happens like that.
Yeah, it happens in the first scene.
It's crazy how much it jumps right in, and you're just like, and then we go hard to Cate Blanchett, and you're just like, okay, all right. But once again, I go, as much as I'm enjoying watching her because she's never bad in anything, I am just going like, okay, so she is repurposed Han Solo, Star-Lord. You know, I'm having to rely on the tropes of these characters to even follow the plot, until you eventually realize, oh, it's all just tropes. And I'm a guy who usually defends things like that because genres have tropes. So when people say like, oh, it's just more tropes, you're like, yeah, but it's about putting a spin on it. This movie doesn't put enough of a spin on these tropes.
And again, that's maybe part of the problem with adapting Borderlands to begin with, is because it is a satire and a referential pile, and it is building on those tropes, but then you are inhabiting the tropes,
right?
And that is the
well, it's once again, this comes up a lot. It's a thing a game can do that a movie has, not that a movie can't do, but has to go about it a different way. But because this also wants to be Guardians, one of the things about Guardians, I think, that people don't talk about enough is they're incredibly sincere and emotional movies. And this movie wants to be satirical and flippant, but it's like have its cake and eat it too. But then also at the end of the movie be this sort of thing about like, but we are coming together as family. And you're like, well, Guardians pulls that off. I don't really care about these people.
Yeah, it's the big shaky thing in it is, no offense, but Cate Blanchett's character isn't really given an emotional core other than I was abandoned as a child, and like the fact that she doesn't super turn that around onto like creating a relationship with Tiny Tina is maybe the thing this movie misses.
Honestly, I would say maybe if you got rid of the Kevin Hart character to some extent.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just feels like then it really could have been more about, it feels like there's like one character too many, so nobody gets developed enough. If it was Cate Blanchett that broke her out of this, and maybe reluctant. I mean, you know, look, this whole podcast channel is nothing but us trying to fix movies. But like if she got assigned to do that and then reluctantly kind of got stuck with the kid, and it's like, oh God, this is just, I mean, I'm taking her down an even more Han Solo path. There's like, God, I'm just in this for the money. But then she actually comes to care for the kid. That's something. That would have been something.
I mean, you even simplify it to Krieg breaks Tiny Tina out.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't start in space. Maybe they just start on the ground. And those two go on the run. Lilith is still hired to go track them down, and then circumstances make it so they all have to team up, and she starts caring about this kid. And then you have Krieg's storyline being breaking away from his psychosis because he sees the relationship between Lilith and Tiny Tina.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just spitballing here.
It's there, and who knows? Maybe in some draft it was clearer, and then rewrite after reshoot after reconsideration, recutting. You know, the movie it's just kind of, like I said, it's not even, I wasn't watching going like some of these where I'm like, boy, Jesus, this is terrible. It's more just like, I would find myself just kind of drifting away and then going like, what's going on? Oh, okay.
I mean, this was definitely one of those movies where like I had it on in the screen in front of me, but like, was I doing some file management on my computer while I was at it?
Yeah.
And did I think I lost anything while I was splitting my attention doing that? No.
No, I mean, it doesn't have much in the way of plot. Like, and then even things like, I find it interesting that, like, I was looking at the promotional material for this, and they're making big things about, like, the biggest treasure hunt ever. And I'm like, yeah, but the movie's not really a treasure, because that's another route you could have taken, is just making it overtly a treasure hunt movie.
Oh, and that is the plot of the first game, is you're a vault hunter, hunting up.
But this movie,
and then
I mean,
you get dragged into this whole, like, political scheme that the Crimson Lance has to control the planet, and then it turns out, the vault actually doesn't have treasure in it.
Yeah, if you had made her more of an Indiana Jones than a Han Solo or something like that, or I don't know, but I mean, but instead it goes out of its way. How many times she's like, I'm not here to hunt for the vault. I don't care about that. And I'm kind of watching it going like, well, I kind of wish you would, because that sounds more interesting than what you are doing.
Yeah.
There's also so much.
I don't know.
Immediately this movie irks me, and there certainly are movies that do this that I like, but immediately this is one of those things where it's like, thousands of years ago on a planet, and you're just like, oh no. You feel I need this information up front. I don't have any issue against that lore, but when it just feels like, all right, everybody, sit back, here you go. There are movies where that has worked, but in general, I was like, you're expecting me to...
Cate Blanchett movies where that has
worked. I
worked.
mean, Lord of the Rings is one of the few times that really works, but that's so baked into the aesthetics and genre of that movie. That movie is about, like, lore in a large way.
Yeah, one of the fun things about Borderlands is slowly unfolding the, like, hey, what's in the vault? You just need to know that there's a vault. The vault is the MacGuffin, right? Because the whole idea is, like, there's a vault. There's people who hunt the vault. They're called vault hunters.
Yeah.
That all comes out in the process of the film. You don't need an opening crawl to tell us that.
No, that feels so tacked on and always feels a little bit like, God, when scenes like that happen in movies, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, they were really worried we weren't going to follow this.
Since I learned that this actually happened, I've been calling them Dune pamphlets in my head, because that is the studio not trusting the audience, so they have to hand them a pamphlet and say, here, this explains everything. And now you can watch this, dummy.
Of course, the weird thing about that is what that often does is make people go like, no, homework, and then they're checked. Yeah. It often makes people more checked out, because look, Denis Villeneuve didn't do that, and those movies were hugely successful. People were just like, got it. I'm always of the opinion that you should just jump in and let people learn to swim in the reality of your movie.
Learn about the world by being in the world.
Yeah, I think and I think, once again, if you are going to copy Guardians, he does that. What does he start with? Not lore, character. The first thing you meet is Peter Quill, and you get his story, and it immediately tells you this is a movie about a person, and then subsequently other people come into it. But what they're actually hunting for
one of the smartest things Marvel has done about their, like, cosmic space stuff is not explain any of it.
No, and they know that, and that's the thing that's great, is you kind of can enjoy those movies by just going magic space thing, and if that's all you know, you got it, because they're really good at letting you understand the stakes. But and Star Wars is good at this too. We talk about this. One of the things that as
Star Wars famously has an opening crawl, but
if you look at what is said in it, it's pretty simple, and also
it's setting up the, like, propulsive stakes of the direct narrative, not saying
right
what's going on with
it is like there is a civil war
that connects all living things, and people have lightsabers.
It is just like there's a civil war. Princess Leia's on the run. There's a bad guy named Darth Vader who's after her. Boom, let's go. I mean, it really is. And it's also done in a way, by doing it as the crawl, it's done in a not quite tongue-in-cheek way, but in this way about, like, you all know this kind of movie. It, once again, is also telling you you're about to watch a Flash Gordon space opera. So it aids
this
the film.
Movie starts out as this, like, millions of years ago, the Iridians, all the galaxy. It sets you up for a movie that this is.
Also, can I say one thing that we do this on Meet the Monsters a lot, movie laws. We have movie laws now of things that are banned. One thing that needs to be banned in movies is to prove your irreverence if you have a very highfalutin narration and then go, yeah, but that's just a bunch of bullshit. Stop doing that, movies. I hate that.
But then especially when the rest of the movie is, oh, by the way, it's not bull.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've seen that in like vampire movies where it's like, and then they're like, yeah, but fuck that guy, because this is the and you're just like, okay, we get it. You're too cool for school.
And I can see why this movie would do that, because that is sort of the attitude of Borderlands, is this flippant disregard.
Right.
There's this anarchism that comes with this like franchise that this movie is trying to capture in a PG-13 way that doesn't really.
But the thing about it is, when a movie like this does this, or some of the other movies, they feel performatively anarchic. It feels like, yeah, man, we're all in on this joke, and I'm like, don't assume I'm with you. This movie just started. I don't know what Once again, it's I keep going back to it, and they did it to themselves. The Guardians comparison. That movie starts with creepy, weird swamp planet. He's looking for treasure. He puts the Walkman on and starts dancing and singing, and immediately, with no dialogue, you're like, got it. This is the vibe of this movie. We're in a space opera, but here's a guy listening to rock music who's not taking it seriously. The movie didn't have to perform that. It just showed you, by showing you the behavior of its main character, what kind of movie you're watching.
Right. No, it didn't have to say, the character didn't have to turn to camera and say, this is all some gleep-glop bullshit, right?
I mean, a movie that does do that successfully is Deadpool, where he literally does turn to camera and goes, oh, hi, But that's because, once again, that is not just the movie doing that. That is still telling you the character of Deadpool is doing that. You're actually learning something about the character.
The difference with Deadpool is, of course, the character himself is always very earnest about where his character motivations come from, whether it's getting his life back with Vanessa in the first movie, or finding his place among a found family in the second movie, or finding his place as a larger status symbol next to Wolverine in the third movie.
I would say even more so than Guardians, that what all three of those movies do is so good, and then when you see other people try to copy it, you realize how hard it is to do what those movies do. I can't believe how well those movies pull off all the fourth wall breaking, all the self-referential stuff, and yet still maintain a sincere heart and an actual character arc to follow. It's really some very impressive work.
Right.
I don't know how they.
You can have personal opinions about just how sincere you actually accept those movies to be, because I've seen people who are just so tired of Deadpool stuff, and that's personal taste. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think taken on their own, each of those films is trying to be as sincere as a Deadpool movie can be.
They're absolutely, and I think even more so, the Guardians movies are actually. The secret is they're actually more sincere than they're flippant. Their sarcasm and stuff is all window dressing, and actually, and same thing with Peacemaker and all of James Gunn's stuff is actually he's one of the most heartfelt filmmakers working.
Look, We Are Groot is forever stitched into my heart.
And when you hear him talk about his work, it so comes from the heart. Here's a film with a guy who I think, at least from his initial interest, Eli Roth came to this very sincerely. And I don't know. I haven't seen whatever cut he made of it. I don't know if that would have been a great movie. But it did seem like there, at some point, was a guy with a vision, and then it just kept getting cobbled and cobbled and cobbled away. And a filmmaker who I like most of his movies.
Eli Roth is one of those guys where it's most of his stuff isn't for me, and that's okay.
I was gonna say I bet you don't watch a lot of Eli Roth work.
No, because it's usually extremely gruesome.
Yeah, I will say though, interestingly, Thanksgiving, which I can't recommend enough, is very good satire in a way that this isn't.
Yeah,
is actually super
He's
funny.
Doing another Hostel?
Hostel is becoming a TV show.
Oh, I see.
Starring Paul Giamatti, which immediately I was like, okay.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that was where I'm like, I don't know, a Hostel TV show. They're like, Paul Giamatti star. I'm like, well, I will watch every episode of that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and he's making Thanksgiving too. I mean, here's the thing about Eli Roth. he's interesting because he's had a couple of these. Because you remember he did the house with the clock in its walls.
Yeah, that was his first team up with Jack Black and Cate Blanchett.
Yep. But like that movie came and went to nowhere. But like whatever, because he's always got his own horror stuff. You know, he can always get money together for an Eli Roth vision of terror. So I do think it's really his career is interesting, where he kind of goes off on these like for hire assignments, and oftentimes those don't work. He's a real inverse of a lot of filmmakers, where like the for hire stuff doesn't work, and his original stuff is the stuff that hits. He's fascinating. He's a fascinating guy. I also just I enjoy him. I watch a lot of interviews with him because he's just a big old nerd. Eli Roth's History of Horror on AMC is one of my favorite shows.
I'd be so curious to see his original cut of this film, which by all intents and purposes, like, it exists, right? Like, he turned in a cut.
Yeah, I don't know that it has finished effects, but he had a finished like cut of the movie. Yeah, I don't think it was like fully, but like an actual movie was there. Yes.
Yeah. It just seems for a movie that like was such a wet fart of a release, trying to capitalize on some form of director's cut might be a move in the future. Obviously, there's no, as opposed to Justice, no clamor for the Roth cut of Borderlands.
And I don't even know that because like that was also a labor of love for Snyder. I think Roth is probably fine just be like, look, what, just keep me out of it, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's back to horror, you know, and he's, but I do think at the very least, from the sound of it, the Roth's cut of the movie probably is more interesting. I'm not going to say it's better, but it does seem like it was doing more stuff, and knowing him as a filmmaker, I'm sure it took swings. I'm not going to say it was good or that fans would have enjoyed it. I don't know, but it certainly sounds wilder.
I think comparing it to Gunn's The Suicide Squad is an apt comparison to what I would want to see out of a Borderlands movie. That sort of bloody irreverence and the whole like heads exploding into confetti or polka dots stuff in that movie, or like the amount of just absolute gonzo gore you get in certain sequences, I think is more the tone of a Borderlands.
It's a real interesting thing, and this comes up a lot when we talk about, you know, the studio system and ratings, right? There's sort of this attitude of like, we could make more money with a PG-13. However, by doing that, we're now alienating the core audience. So in chase of a broader audience, you're alienating the guaranteed ticket sales. And I think this is a perfect example of like, see, that's a mistake, because I don't think people were really sold on this. And the people who might have gone are like, yeah, but you're not doing it the way we want it. So then no one goes. I remember when they were going to make an Expendables when they made that third Expendables movie, PG-13.
Yeah.
And you were just like, yeah, but the people who like these movies are me and a bunch of retired gentlemen, you know, like
and always with these adaptations, when have you ever made those compromises for an adaptation and it's worked?
I can't think of many. I can't think of any, actually. Like a PG-13 version of R-rated material, or as we frequently see, the PG-13 sequel to the R-rated movie.
Or even just like changing what people like about a thing to try to make it more quote unquote palatable, right?
Yeah, I can't think of much.
When has that ever worked?
Yeah, nothing's immediately coming to
I'm not
mind.
even talking video game adaptations now.
No. I'm thinking about comic books or novels or not anything on broad levels. It's all small changes, right?
Like Hellboy, I guess, maybe, if you ask Mike Mignola.
But I would say that is an example of, it's not so much a change in material as much as it is a translation through a film. That, because I think, you know what, this is a perfect, I think of Hellboy like I think of Tim Burton's Batman. It is a version of this thing. It is not untrue to the source material, but it is a certain artist's translation of that material, right? These aren't one-for-one adaptations, but they are labors of love for a thing. They're just rejiggered through somebody's vision.
But that passion comes out on screen.
I think that's the key thing, right? Is I think a filmmaker can reinterpret something. Because I was thinking about something like Jurassic Park, the novel, is very different than the movie, but it's filtered through that Spielberg lens. He's not violating anything in the book, but he's sort of just reshaping it or pointing it in a new direction and made something.
Damn it, John Hammond needed to be eaten by Compsognathus, and I'll never hear the end.
This is what I'm saying, where it's like, but all of the thinking in that movie is like, by changing John Hammond, that ending no longer works for it. So we're doing this. There's a lot of, you can follow why everybody's doing what they're doing. They don't feel like, what we're talking about with movies like this are the nakedly capitalistic, like, we think we are going to make these changes because we think we can make more money by doing this, as opposed to an actual artist going, as I perceive this story, this change would fit better with this thing. And it's made for the good of the movie.
Some of those that we've seen backfire in the past. I know you like it more than I do. Halo show, I think, is an interesting example of this, where they took stuff that did exist in the lore and then just greatly expanded on it, insofar as the like Spartans reclaiming their humanity that was stripped from them is a thing that exists in the lore of that franchise, but is not what made it popular necessarily. So to expand on that is to like build on something that exists and is a quality of the sci-fi franchise without really taking into consideration what makes it popular.
I think Halo's an interesting example because I didn't love the Halo show. I there's a lot that could have been done better there, but I think that show at least attempted to do a little bit what we're talking about, where we're like, what is the TV show version of this story? Like, we can't recreate, and I would argue perhaps that's just a fool's errand to even try to do that. But it was trying to go, how do we make this character? TV is about characters and arcs, so how do we make this thing into a character drama? And I think there were parts of it that were successful. Like, there were parts of it that were very much not. And I think it was a flawed, but I still think noble attempt. I think the people making that had good intentions. That didn't feel crass and commercial like this does, Borderlands.
Yeah.
But it did feel like, hey man, this is kind of an impossible task. Here's our best stab at it. But I totally see why people weren't into it. Because once again, maybe there just shouldn't be a Halo movie or TV show. Or if there is, maybe something closer to Fallout that's like in universe, but not.
Well, I think even with Halo, I think there could be something to be said for stripping that down to a run and gun action film.
If you did something more like
character driven.
Yeah, I mean, if you did something
TV
like
show.
ODST as a movie, that could rule.
Or even just the story of the first Halo game, but as a movie.
Sure.
Following big soldier guy fight his way through alien place.
I mean, we saw a number of attempts to do that.
Yeah, but none of them got off the ground.
No.
But for some reason, the TV show did.
I'm always fascinated by how these things happen. I mean, like we talked about, this movie, 13 years between somebody trying to start making it as a movie and it actually coming out. And I'm always curious about how these things turn out. I will say very rarely does it and it was all worth it because, man, what a classic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the more we see of these TV shows that are kind of like getting it, whether it be the first few seasons of The Witcher, your Fallout.
The Witcher, to be fair though, is an interesting example, right? Because you're basing it on the game is an adaptation of a thing, and the show is using aesthetics from the game but adapting story points from the books, but doing their own things as well. And The Witcher, of course, is just a mess now. I don't know. The seeing the first footage of Liam Hemsworth, you're like, oh man, who's this cosplayer? It just I'm sorry, you can't do that. It's very hard. No offense to him specifically, but the second you see somebody in that costume with that wig and it's not Cavill, you're just like, this immediately feels less than. It feels like like somebody's fan film.
We've jumped to straight to video sequel really fast.
It really, well, and it doesn't help that it is the brother of a movie star. Like, I mean, I will say it is like, it does feel like, oh, and we've also gone down a peg in terms of who we've got here. Because I mean, you know what? Actually, I take it back. Some offense to Liam Hemsworth, who I've never been a fan of, but it's always kind of one of those guys where it's like, come on, and we're just like, how many times do we have to say no to this guy? I don't know. How many times can we as America reject an actor?
Hey, I think Daniel Baldwin's been hanging in there for decades. So.
He's still out there, man, in whatever Christian-funded movie he's doing now, Anyway, yeah, Borderlands, it's just a shame. It just didn't come together, man.
Yeah. And again, as a fan of this franchise, this is one of those things where watching this so long because I knew it was just going to bum me out. And the fact that I'm not left like angered and more just like is more, it makes me more sad that my reaction is so like deflated as opposed to like actively enraged. I don't know what that says about
I think it makes sense, right? Because it's the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference.
Yeah.
And that I am so indifferent to this movie.
This movie is going to leave my brain. I am going to forget I'd ever seen it. And years from now, I'll see it on a streaming service and be like, oh, there was a Borderlands movie?
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be one of those things. Well, except for I will probably remember because this podcast will still exist. But it will be like, I think I saw that.
I must have watched that for an episode of a podcast.
There's a lot of movies like that. A lot of the like mid-2000s genre movies that we like went to. Where I'm just like, did I see that? Stuff will come up and I'll go like, I both remember and don't remember seeing it. Did I see that? Did I see Seventh Son? Fuck, I don't know if I did or not.
Did I see the second Winter's War? Chris Hemsworth fought a witch, I think.
Did I see that? Yeah, the Huntsman. Did I see that? I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that where I'm just going like, God, I don't remember if I saw that. All right, well, we talked about this movie making $33 million worldwide. Where do you think that landed in the top 200 movies that came out in 2024?
Top 200.
Top 200. I will give you this. It is in the top 200.
Yeah, sure enough.
That only 33.
2024, so we're back. Because some of these movies of the last few weeks have been like, oh, we got to deal with pandemic math. Throws things off. But no, 2024, we're back.
We're pretty much in a new normal at that point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think new normal is a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because I mean, you still things nothing is. It's never fully recovered. Still.
Give me that top 5, John.
All right, top 5 of 2024 is at number 1, Inside Out 2. 1.69 billion.
It was pretty good.
How about the aforementioned Deadpool and Wolverine at number 2 with 1.3 billion?
That was very good.
Number 3, Moana 2, about just a skosh over $1 billion.
That wasn't good.
I liked Moana 2 just fine. I thought it was all right.
I thought the songs were way worse.
Oh, I thought there were some good. All right, I thought it was totally fine. But we should note all 3 of those, of course, made by the Walt Disney Corporation. Then Despicable Me 4, which I
never count out those Minions.
No, they come up a lot on here because I do always forget how popular they are. And there's one where I know I saw the first one because I think you and I saw it.
Probably.
And then I think I saw the second one, and then that's been it for me with the Despicable Me franchise.
Couldn't tell you.
I think I saw 2. And then, of course, in 5th place was Wicked.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think this probably broke into the top 100.
Okay.
Just because the landscape of films is like rife with stuff that made less than $10 million. So, but I'm going to put it near the back end. I want to say like 87th.
They wish. 95th.
Woo!
95th. Just below.
I was right about it breaking into the top 100, though.
Just below The Watchers. Crickets, anyone? That's the movie that M. Night Shyamalan's daughter made.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a twist.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but bad things about it. And just above, Zachary Levi starring in Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Oh, right. Zachary Levi. He's still trying to do stuff, isn't he?
He sure is, man. Just as long as you don't make anyone get those vaccines. Yeah, he's a real disappointment. I used to be a big fan of his, but boy, oh boy, has he turned into...
You and I both loved Chuck.
Huge Chuck fans, yeah. And I thought he was perfect Shazam casting. Perfect.
Yeah, talk about a movie that just doesn't exist anymore. Is that second Shazam movie.
Well, and a lot of that has to do with things he said. I would say there was a distinct distaste for him by the time that movie came out. I'm not going to say that was the sole reason, because I do also think that was one of those that came out after they made it clear none of these were going to matter anymore. Like Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, and maybe there was another movie in there that were like...
Wonder Woman 84, kind of.
I don't know. I think at that point it was still... Because like Black Adam was the last one where it's like, hey, is this a thing? But there were a few that were like distinctly, Gunn is already building a new GC universe. And we still have a couple more of these to release. Because Blue Beetle, they made clear, was going to hop over. So that one wasn't. But there were just a couple where you're just like, why would anyone go to these? There is no more. There is no more of this. This is going nowhere. And so I think people were just like, Aquaman 2 was I think the absolute like last one.
Did you see Shazam 2?
I saw Aquaman 2. I've never seen Shazam 2.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and it's on HBO Max, and I'm like, mainly because I do have a distaste for him. I feel like seeing that guy's face, I'll just be like, ugh. Even if the movie is, and I don't know, was word that it was god awful. I think once again, forgettable was more the reaction. Like you talk about, it doesn't exist. I think people are more just like, I did hear a lot of people talk about who really liked the first one, being like, yeah, this is a come down. So that's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's finish up here with some highs and lows, because apparently there are people who like this movie.
What? That can't be right.
I will say it does have a average rating of 4.7 stars on IMDb, which is not great.
All right, so you got to dig for some of them 10 stars.
They're in there. There's always a couple people. Okay.
I'm going to predict right now that the 10-star review is going to be like, people shouldn't take this so seriously. And the 1-star review is going to be like, this is nothing like the games.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is what we're talking about, though. Once again, as is the whole point of this segment, extreme reactions to movies are often not accurate. This comes to us from Ralph Helm 69745. Title of the review:
This movie killed my mom.
Surprise! It's not an Uwe Boll movie. But that's what I'm talking. This is what we're talking about, though. We're going like, no. It's not. Come on now. This is not good. But good lord,
Blood Rain, the Third Reich. This ain't.
Yeah. No, and as someone who's seen it, yeah, I've seen all the Blood Rains, folks. All right. When you watch this garbage, you have to wonder if it was also massacred, as so many other video game franchises were, by Uwe Boll. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't! Why do I say it's garbage? Well, for a start, don't call your movie Borderlands and say it's inspired by the game franchise. All it was inspired by is the movie title, and you throw around some in-name games. The characters don't feel and sound like the game characters, and it seems to be a movie about Borderlands 27, with most of the movie characters being closer to retirement or past it, rather than being the age their virtual counterparts are. How the heck did that casting happen? Yes. Here we go. You knew this was coming. It's diverse and mainly female, and has plenty of DLC side characters rather than the original main characters. And Tiny Tina...
Two of our main characters in this movie are main characters in the game.
And Tiny Tina in the game is so cool, awesome, edgy, brutal, ruthless, a proper girl boss. In this movie, she's just unfunny and rather pathetic, and a somewhat girl boss, not because she deserves it, because the script tells us she is. Sort of another failed Harley Quinn. Talk about the casting. What a waste of Cate Blanchett. I'm not surprised that would be the only thing this person would know her from. But that's all I have to say about her. Same goes for Jamie Lee Curtis. Kevin Hart is an Eddie Murphy ordered from Wish. Yes, he's black. Yes, he does comedy. And no, he's not funny. Actually never has been, nor edgy. Here again, he does a family-friendly Jumanji performance and is just, well, the usual unfunny and sometimes even obnoxious Kevin Hart. Claptrap Claptrap, a.k.a. Jack Black. I never got the hype around him, and now he is just another has-been with serious health and hygiene issues. Yeesh. Play your music, play your roles, but be aware if you also want to be an activist, you deter to all those who don't agree with your opinion, which is bad for business. 1 out of 10 stars. Took a weird turn down the stretch there.
It did not take a weird turn, John, because it opened with "is mostly female" in the opening sentence.
But then I
knew that turn was coming from a mile back.
I just like the idea. But I just like the idea of Jack Black playing Claptrap. I don't like his politics. Oh, okay.
Look, there's some reading between the lines that needs to be done for that review.
Yeah.
I think we both know exactly the sort of person.
Not a whole lot of reading between the lines, though. Pretty faint lines there.
Diverse and female, gross.
Anyway, let's go to Movies, Film Reviews, Inc. This guy's incorporated himself.
This is official then. All right.
Title of the review. I love this. Funny and full of heart. Borderlands.
Hart, anyway.
Yeah, it should be H-A-R-T. Borderlands, a sci-fi movie by Eli Roth, is reminiscent of 90s comic books and contemporary superhero movies. It feels like a third-tier title from a company that tries to copy Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy or DC Suicide Squad. Yeah, this is a positive review.
This is 10 stars?
Yeah. Anyway, they describe the thing. The story revolves around a quest for the key to a vault containing vast and powerful knowledge of technology. The movie manages to provide freak show digital effects and set design amusements at a consistent clip for about 40 minutes. Pandora's jankiness renders some of the movie's janky effects weirdly appropriate, and the characters' banter is about as clever as a t-shirt claiming fluency and sarcasm. Some pockets of amusement include Jack Black's confident fussiness as Claptrap, Greenblatt's bratty enthusiasm, and some neat visual ideas such as masks that project digital likenesses to override the physical face in front of you. Is that from the game? I actually did think that was kind of cool.
There's some stuff. I mean, it's not incorporated in gameplay at all, but like those things exist in the game. Yes.
Okay. Because I actually thought that, like, once again, if I saw that like in a Star Wars movie or something, I'd be like, that's pretty good.
There's a whole thing with Handsome Jack, the villain of the second game. But anyway, go on.
Okay. Borderlands is a film that resembles a children's film that is too violent for children to actually watch. The film's juvenile humor, fast-paced, and shaky handle on grown-ups' feelings make it resemble nothing more than a children's film. Oh, he just said that. The aesthetic drabness of the film is more than the severity of violence. It's strange that Gorehound... Wow. This is pretty negative, actually.
You're saying this is a 10-star review?
Yeah. Sorry.
Doesn't read like one.
No, let me go down here. How about this that comes to us from Seagull DM? An action-packed and comedic space opera I have been waiting for. Having never played the game, I went into the movie with an open mind and thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no preconceived character expectations and found the casting of characters brilliant with talented actors and a comedic balance. It may have been a PG-13 due to studio interference, but it still had some epic fight scenes that had an old-school Western frontier gunslinging style, just how I like movie shootouts. Basically, for me, it's a fun space opera I will enjoy watching again. The idea of Pandora being a desolate planet full of treasure hunters was a lot like the Wild West. The costumes seemed like they were original and fitted in well with a futuristic setting. Kudos to the actors. However, I wonder what the movie would have been like if not for the studio interference. 10 out of 10 stars. I would recommend, if this person enjoyed this, maybe check out Firefly. Like, if you're like, I like the idea of Westerns in space, you're like, there's some better ones.
Hell, if you like weird knockoffs of those better things, go watch Killjoys from the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, this is not, like I said, my big problem. One of my big problems here is it's just like not a whole lot new this is offering, and all the action, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but
if there was like, what's the best action set piece in this movie? Is probably like them fighting all the psychos underground. Yeah.
But nothing stands out as like. I'll bring this up because I watched Ballerina the other night, the John Wick spinoff.
Sure.
And like I've been telling people about moments in that, like multiple fight scenes where I'm like, dude, there's a scene where this happened. Like there's a flamethrower fight in that movie. There's a scene where two people have flamethrowers, and it's like a gunfight where they're blasting fire at each other. And so I'm going, there's nothing in this movie where I'm like, oh my God, you got to see it, because there's a scene where this happens. Instead, it's just like, there's some perfunctory okay gunfights. Like, you know.
Yeah.
No, there's no.
I like the way Cate Blanchett twirls the gun sometimes.
Yeah, she worked hard on that, and you can tell. And it does look cool, but you're like, and? Next?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's Borderlands. It's forgettable.
Yeah.
More than anything, it is.
I'm looking forward to playing Borderlands 4. I'll say that much.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that. Look, even not being a fan of the games, I would rather play any of the games than watch this again. Yeah. All right. Well, if you want more from us, where we talk about maybe some better stuff or some worse stuff, you can head over to our Patreon page. Either way. We're entertaining.
It's the full spectrum of stuff.
It's the full spectrum of stuff. Head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. Get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help out all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Where else can people check us out, Gorgone?
For decidedly medium stuff, come check us out on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@punchupentertainment.
Oh, there's a ringing endorsement.
Where we only have the most average stuff that we talk about. Well, average video games, average comic books, decidedly average discussion.
Well, if you enjoy Gorgone talking about video game movies, you can watch you and our friend and sometimes co-host Elliot Lewis play video games on there.
Yeah, we're playing stuff on Punch Up Plays, mostly the Mass Effect, which they've made some announcements about the Mass Effect adaptation that is coming down the pipeline, and I am nervous as all hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think it being an Amazon show is a lot better than if it was a movie.
Sure. But based on some casting notes that we've seen, they are making some decisions about this franchise that are maybe listing more Halo word than Fallout word. And we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we shall see.
Yep.
We shall see.
And but if you have some opinions about the Borderlands franchise or any of those games we've been talking about this, let us know in the comments below over on YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us spread the word about Punch Up Entertainment and our decidedly neutral takes on things.
I don't. We're famous for just being like, oh,
straight down the middle. Things are just fine.
Oh no, well, it's whatever. It exists.
Yeah, that's what. It's,
It's a movie. Anyway, next week on the show, Michael Listen will be back with me to finish up the Sonic trilogy, or at least trilogy as of now, with Sonic 3. I'm sorry, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is the full title. And because this season refuses to end. We're in 2024, and I still somehow have like 3 more episodes after this. Look,
and I'm going to be back for 2 of them, I think.
At least one of them, yeah. But and guess what? The next one you're going to be on for might have Jack Black in it.
Hey, I know.
And we say this as people who like Jack Black.
Generally, I really like Jack Black, and who knows? Right now, he's 1 for 1 in terms of video game he's been in terms of my appreciation.
There you go.
I really like the Super Mario Brothers movie, and we'll see about Minecraft.
All right. Well, we will, and you can hear that in a couple weeks. Anyway, until then, the case file is closed.